Welcome to Imaginative Visions Journeys, where creators from the entertainment world discuss their journey to turning their dreams into reality. With your host, Justin D. Williams.
Hey, welcome to Imaginative Visions Journeys. I'm Justin, of course, here, and I'm here with writer-director Wendi Tang, here to talk about her new short film, which is playing at Holly Shorts, FishTank. Wendi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Justin.
And I guess we always like to start off here on Journeys. We like to start off with a little bit of an origin story or the beginnings of your passion into the arts. When did you fall in love with film, and how did you get into directing and also writing?
Yeah, okay, that's my origin story. Um, okay. There's like twofold of how I got into film. Like first of all, it's that I was the only kid in the family. I was the only child, and my
Mhm.
parents are working parents. So I in my childhood I spent a lot of time with myself. And I also had a little like camcorder for my dad. So when I was spending a lot of time with myself, I started to, film around and just to experiment with the device on my hand. And that's how I got introduced to like visuals, the image, the world of like, visual storytelling kind of. And for the passion of directing, it when I trace it back, it actually started when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time with my friends because
Mhm.
we were all like single children and
Mhm.
and we spent a lot of time playing with each other. And sometimes after school, we'll, go to someone's apartment or someone's house to just, play games. And one of the games we played was like recreating one scene from the TV show last night,
Oh,
from the
wow.
drama last night. So we did that, and I like instantly just shied away from acting because I feel like I'm very self-conscious when I'm acting. So I just took the directorial role. Like I didn't know the word director back then. But I started to like direct my friends, be like, hey, you need to do this, you need to be there, and let's recreate that. And yeah, that's like the initial spark of directing. But I really decided that I wanted to be a director after I got into NYU. I graduated from NYU to School of the Arts, the film program.
Mhm.
And it was through that program that really exposed me to the filmmaking process and really taught me to how to be a director and what it takes to be a director. So I think it was through that program I became more confident and I became more determined that I want to be a director for life.
Wow, that's one hell of a story. NYU seems to be the birth of a lot of the filmmakers here in New York City. I'm from New York, so that's like definitely the stomping grounds. But as far as Fish Tank goes, your new short film, what was it like directing with just having this character of Jules, who's just this was such a very conceptual film as well, just because of the fact that there's a lot of symbolism, especially with the fish, the vomiting, and as we learn later on, of course, we learn a little bit more about Jules. No spoilers, folks. I won't spoil anything, but we get to learn a little bit more of what she's going through. What was it like directing something like this, where it's kind of not as conventional, straight to the point? It's a lot of interpretation in terms of what when she's vomiting the fish, and then we get to know a little bit more about it. What was it like developing a film like this?
That's a great question. When I first started writing the story, like I also had the doubt, like part of myself was thinking, this is so bizarre. This is so weird. Like that doesn't make sense. But like the more I developed it, the more I like dive deep into the story about like the how Jules, how her journey becomes what it is right now. Like I believe that in her world, that's what she is really going through. So I think it really takes that you have to have like you have to have faith in your character and the world that you're building to be able to really tell the story, because if you don't, as a filmmaker, if you don't believe it, like no one else will believe it. It's like you're creating a new world. And I really like that feeling of like immersing myself in a little surrealism and little like magical surrealism world, because I feel like that immersion really allowed me to kind of push the boundaries of narrative storytelling, because I always believe that there are a lot of things unknown, in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, I mean, so if weird things can happen, why can't she vomit a goldfish? That kind of feeling. Yeah, and it was also a great process working with actress Tiffany Chu. And we didn't do like a very formal casting process for that role, because I got introduced to Tiffany by my casting director, and we just immediately bonded when we first met on Zoom. I feel like it's more about if you connect with the character, if you believe in her. And through the conversation, I felt that she did. And we barely talked about the role, the script. We talked more about our personal experiences that made me believe that she can handle the role perfectly. She can deliver. So yeah, I cast her as Jules, and yeah, she delivered a great performance.
And and I always ask this for people who wear multiple hats. So
Mm.
writing, directing, which one would you find to be a little bit more challenging when the process of developing Fish Tank came about?
That's also a good question. I feel like when I was writing, I tend to like forget about the restraints, like the limits, the practical aspect of things, to really just let my imagination fly. And that way I can really see like more possibilities of the story. But when it comes to directing, like sometimes I joke that my director self will hate my writer self. Because when it actually comes down to the groundwork of like making it happen, um I would say I wouldn't say which one is more difficult. They're both part of the process for me, because I am writing and directing this project. I think I just needed what I needed to do was be able to like switch heads and really just fast. So when I focus on writing, I just solely focus on writing. And when I started to direct the film, like I just became the director. I choose to kind of like forget a lot of the writer mindset, that I
Mhm.
need to deliver this product. I need to deliver this film. So I focused more on the practical aspects of how to make things happen. Yeah, I think be able to like switch heads is like really important for me.
Is that tough sometimes? Because you could write something and then when you're in the director's chair, like, um, budget wise, can't do this, can't do this, or okay, now I gotta switch back to writer's mode and go, okay, had this idea for a location, can't get that location, so gotta switch it up now and do this, and we're gonna have to make this particular thing work.
Yeah, there's definitely compromises in the process they have to make, but I think the ultimate goal is to um use whatever you have to to get as close as possible to the story you want to tell. Yeah.
And one another question I have here is just can you take us a little into the filmmaking process of Fish Tank? Is how long did you film? Where was it shot at? And because it's beautifully shot, especially the Jules' apartment. Like even the actual fish tank footage. Like how was that just zoomed in, or was that actually camera inside the fish tank? How did that come about? If you could reveal some
That's the
secrets.
question. Yeah, I'm so glad you picked up those little details. Yes, we shot the entire short film in Los Angeles for like 6 days-ish and a half, kind of, yeah, because we did a little pickup afterwards. And for Sorry, what was your other question? It was
About the fish tank. Well,
oh,
how
the
was
fish
that shot in?
tank. Yes. We originally we like I always wanted a shot that looks like we're looking through the fish tanks on her world, on Jules' world. So for that shot, we tried our very best to shoot like from behind a fish tank because like if you have ever like handled a fish tank, you know how heavy the tanks can be with all the water in it.
Yeah.
So it was a difficult shot, but we were able to kind of like move the fish tank forward because it was put against the wall, move it like forward more center to the room, and we tucked the camera behind. And we were also using Sony Venice 2, which can, you can detach the back part from the front. So it allowed us to really tuck the camera behind the tank so we can shoot through the tank.
See, see,
Yeah.
that's amazing shots there. And my final last two questions. My final question also will be more of the theme of the story, mainly about overcoming let's say addiction because there are alcoholics in there. This Jules goes to alcoholic rehab. She's like in Alcoholic Anonymous and she's bonding with all these people. And of course we have her constantly throwing up and vomiting. What would you say is kind of the overall what your message across with using Jules was the film trying to say?
Yes. For Jules, like the alcoholic addiction for her is her past, and which was more like a premise of how she get to this place and how why she started to, vomit goldfish. But the film itself, it's more about how she deals with it and how she takes back the control of her life. Because vomiting goldfish, like you can say like all those goldfish in her world at that time in the story when the film started, the goldfish sort of they're like the only things that she can control in her life. Like everything else is going out of her control. Is it's more like you're driving on a highway and the only thing you can control is your car. You don't know what other people is gonna do if they're gonna just do a lane change without signaling or something like that. It's like very unexpected. So she's holding on to the only anchor in her life. And as story develops, as story progresses, you can tell that she needs to let go of something
Mhm.
to truly uh to truly knows that what she needs. Maybe what she needs is not like a temporary control of some items. It's more about her voice. It's
Mhm.
about regaining her power at the end. So I think that's the main message that this film is trying to deliver.
And the final question will be, how can people reach you? Is there a website that you have, social media that you have that they can keep up with your work or upcoming projects that you're currently working on?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is underscore Wendi Tang because the Wendi Tang was taken, so I added an underscore above for my name, but you can find me over there. And I also have my personal website. It's 3w.wenditang.com, and you feel free to follow me. I'll post whatever I have like updates on my website and social.
Hey, Wendy, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for Imaginative Visions Journeys. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from Imaginative Visions, you can visit imaginativevisions.com.